Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are getting our hands dirty. We're cutting through all the typical industry buzzwords, rolling up our sleeves, and diving straight under the hood of Google's hidden AI stack. We aren't just going to do a surface-level flyby of these 8 under-the-radar tools. No way. We're tearing them down to understand exactly how their hidden engines actually work. So if you've been itching to see the real gears turning behind the scenes of modern AI, you are definitely in the right place. Let's get right into it.
Think about it. What if a completely free stack could replace your entire team? Sounds totally like science fiction, right? But here is the reality we're living in today. Most people are still out there treating artificial intelligence like, a glorified calculator. They type in a basic question, they get basic text back, and they call it a day. But in this explainer, we're moving way beyond basic chatbots. We're going to unpack the actual mechanics of deep reasoning and multimodal generation. By the end of this, you'll see how understanding these underlying workflows can basically hand you an entire production studio for absolutely free.
All right, let's dive into Section 1, Deep Research and Reasoning.
You know that persistent fear of your AI just hallucinating or totally making up facts? Yeah, those days are pretty much coming to an end. When you compare Gemini's different decision-making models, the contrast is honestly fascinating. Let's say you ask for a marketing strategy for a new Nike running shoe in India. You actually get to choose the AI's core approach. The Flash model is built purely for speed. It'll instantly spit out a fast, clean demographic table telling you to target urban runners. Boom, done. But if you toggle over to the thinking model, the underlying logic changes entirely. It slows down. It actively reads real websites, compiles live data, and actually reasons through the problem. And because it does that, it comes back with a much deeper, completely different strategy, advising a pivot towards smaller Indian cities and casual streetwear buyers, simply because that is where the real volume and money are. You use Flash for everyday speed, sure, but you use thinking when there's real money on the line.
And that deeper reasoning is exactly what allows a single, static piece of information to be blown out into an entire universe of content. Take Notebook LM, for example. The computational heavy lifting going on behind the scenes here is just astounding. You can drop a single, massive, wildly dense PDF, like a breakdown of Tesla's 2026 robotics strategy, straight into the tool, and it autonomously digests the whole thing. Because the AI actually comprehends the source material, it can pump out a massive variety of structured outputs. We're talking a fluent, multilingual debate podcast with 2 AI hosts arguing over the material, or clickable mind maps, comprehensive study guides, even narrated cinematic videos. It's doing all the comprehension and repackaging completely on its own.
Moving right along to Section 2, Building Autonomous AI Agents.
Okay, so let's shift from just asking an AI random questions to actually constructing autonomous agents. To build these using Gemini gems and a tool called Opal, we have to step into what I like to call the quiet back room of Google's AI, Google AI Studio. This is where the raw models live. Now, normally, AI operates like your typical sycophantic corporate yes man. It politely agrees with whatever you type, even if your idea is just terrible. But by feeding it a very specific instruction, like telling it to prioritize truth over politeness and to challenge you whenever needed, you fundamentally alter its baseline behavior. You are literally forcing the core architecture to push back, double-check your facts, and maintain a healthy dose of skepticism.
So the absolutely crucial concept to grasp here is system instructions. Technically speaking, this is a core prompt architecture. It's the mechanism that anchors the AI so it doesn't suddenly forget its role, its tone, or the hyper-specific details of what it's supposed to be doing during incredibly complex multi-step workflows. When you lock in system instructions, you're not just opening up another chat window. You are quite literally programming the behavioral rules of a trained AI employee. And it's going to execute those rules perfectly, every single time.
And once you know how to train that AI employee, you can start stringing complex tasks together using a tool called Opal. Opal is entirely about agentic automation, essentially packaging your AI into these automated B2B machines. Imagine setting up a workflow that autonomously takes a list of target companies, fires up Google to research their specific business models, and then drafts hyper-personalized, highly tailored cold outreach emails pitching your exact services to each one. It handles the initial research, the copywriting, and the pitch in one massive continuous automated sweep. It's a total game changer.
Okay, let's pivot to Section 3, Designing Apps and Brands.
Let's shift gears entirely and talk about multimodal creation. We're going to look at exactly how Google's AI can build full software applications and complete brand identities from absolute scratch without you ever needing to write a single line of code. We're talking about tools called Stitch and Pomeli. Now, to get professional-grade design results out of an AI, you absolutely need to use Stitch's 4-box prompting rule.
You can't just type, build me an app and hope for the best. You have to give it an idea, like a foodie app layout. You give it a theme, like a vibrant Zomato red. You define the content, think nearby restaurants or a live tracking map. And lastly, you provide an image or a reference link. Locking in this specific four-box structure gives the AI the exact rigid parameters it needs to actually design a beautiful, fully functioning user interface.
And here is why this is so critical for your real-world workflow. Stitch designs that user interface perfectly, right? But it's just a static picture. The absolute magic happens the second you hit export. You can push that static design straight into Google AI Studio. From there, the AI steps back in, weaves all the necessary code completely behind the scenes, and instantly transforms those flat images into a clickable, functioning, living web app that you can pull up on your phone or desktop right then and there.
Now, while Stitch is handling the app development, Pomeli takes care of the branding. The analytical secret sauce inside Pomeli is something called Business DNA. It's this incredibly powerful engine that will scrape your live website or just process a few uploaded images and instantly learn your entire brand. It literally extracts your exact color hex codes, your typography, your specific tone of voice, and your overall aesthetic values. Once the AI captures that business DNA, it can automatically pump out perfectly on-brand social media campaigns and highly photorealistic product shoots. You literally never need to hire a human designer or photographer for it.
Which brings us to our final core topic, Section 4, Directing Cinematic AI Video.
We are building to the absolute peak of this explainer now. What happens when we combine all of these multimodal and deep reasoning tools together? Well, we enter the world of Google Flow and the Gemini Omni model, where the AI essentially acts as a complete top-tier filmmaking studio. But if you've ever played around with AI video generation, you know the struggle. Things morph and change wildly from frame to frame. It's a mess. To fix that, Google Flow enforces a very strict order of operations known as the character consistency rule. To build a proper storyboard, you must first force the AI to lock the character. Let's say a Cartier Panther cub. Then, secondly, you lock the location. Say a warm Parisian library. Actually, you can't skip this. Only after both of those are locked do you tell the AI to generate the actual shots. Following that exact, mechanical order is the absolute secret to preventing those jarring, mismatched frames and making sure your character looks completely identical throughout the entire film.
To get those shots perfect, you have to use the 5 core building blocks designed by the engineers behind the Omni model. You've got framing in motion, which dictates your camera movement, style, which dictates the cinematic feel, lighting, which honestly is arguably the most important element for setting the mood. Then you have location and action. Dialing in these highly specific elements, like typing out warm lamplight with a slow dolly push-in, is literally the difference between getting a mediocre, flat AI video and generating a true cinematic masterpiece.
And I gotta tell you, this brings us to one of the most mind-blowing capabilities of the Omni model. Once your video is finally generated, if there's a mistake, you do not have to rewrite some massive prompt to fix a tiny detail. You can use conversational, everyday natural language to make surgical edits. For instance, if you have a beautifully lit scene of a boy looking at a butterfly, you can just casually type, "Change the butterfly to a bee." That's it. The AI will literally reach inside the video, swap out the insect, and leave the entire rest of the scene perfectly intact, without needing to regenerate the whole thing. It is absolutely incredible.
So, let's take a step back and look at the big picture. We've just completely unpacked the hidden architecture of these tools. We've seen exactly how system instructions can turn a basic AI into a dedicated employee, how Business DNA seamlessly learns your entire brand, and how specific prompting blocks can direct cinematic video. Understanding these underlying mechanics fundamentally transforms AI from a simple little chat box into an entire free production studio. So if this stack can now build your app, write your code, and direct your ad campaigns, the only question left to ask yourself is, what are you going to build tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I seriously can't wait to see what you create.